Hey, before we get to this shit right here, I need to make sure y'all go follow both of the other channels, man. You feel me? IQ Shahid's Clips and IQ Shahid's Revenge. We got all different content, over 2,000 videos, man. Different music video reactions, everything, reels, all type of shit, man. Y'all go tap in with it. Appreciate y'all. Gang.
They were buddies since they grew up. But look at the stress being placed on this defendant as the only one bringing the money in, as the only person who's paying the bills. Look at the tension on there, right? Look at the issues and concerns with Mr. Williams, Anthony Williams, and the defendant's mother, that they're fighting an argument. The messages on there to that effect. So look at, for premeditation, you can also look at the manner in which the homicide was committed. Anthony Williams was shot in the back of the head. That was planned for when he was sleeping so that he could not fight back. That was a premeditated, planned killing of Anthony Williams, where there would be an alibi already discussed. So then, Christopher Thomas. Premeditation, as the judge instructed you, does not require days, weeks, months of planning. Premeditation can be formed quickly. Example we used in jury selection. Going to your mom's house on Mother's Day. You forget to bring flowers. You reach down, pull some flowers out of her yard and give her to those. That is premeditation. That is thinking about something, then doing it. Ladies and gentlemen, I submit to you the murder of Christopher Thomas was premeditated in that as well. Chris Thomas, as you saw with Sergeant Williams and Mr. Howard demonstrating, oh my goodness, what's going on? Mr. Devins then made the decision at that point he couldn't have a witness. So look at that. Those are all things in which you can get premeditation, how it was committed, the wounds that were inflicted, the back of the head. Going to Facebook. Showing again that the different information that you have before you belongs to this defendant. 772-713-9807. And that Melly, Montana, at iCloud.com is the email. Remember the Snapchat? Melly.Montana? These are names that the defendant uses over and over again to talk about and communicate and identify himself. And look, that phone says verified as belonging to Jamal Devins. Also remember Facebook. We have October 26th of 2018. Sun's going down. And the defendant's phone also shows him at this location in Cocoa. And he is dancing and singing and performing, wearing the same jacket, an identical jacket to what Chris Thomas was wearing the night before, and showing Mr. Henry wearing the denim jacket, like Mr. Williams was wearing the night before. And so the question was posed about a contractual agreement and losing money to be there. Well, ladies and gentlemen, look at the text messages between Mr. Devins and his mother, because he wasn't worried a couple of months before about missing a show because he was getting his hair braided and losing $1,000. But then this night, when his friends were killed, he's dancing and partying around and is worried about a contractual agreement. Just look at those types of information and those types of behavior and how someone is acting. Snapchat. You recall, this is the argument between Mariah Hamilton and Jamel Demons, Melly Montana. Bort coming everywhere with me, because if them crackers come grab him, it's my fault, you forgot. I keep Portland with, because at the end of the day, he did one of the realest shit in my life. Yeah, he covered up a murder. Did a very terrible job of it, but that's what he did. That's what this is referring to. This is less than 2 weeks after this homicide occurs, and that's what they're talking about. Ladies and gentlemen, you have a confession in this case. The defendant, and now look at the time. Remember we talked about the UTC? So subtract 4. So UTC 2,000 hours. You subtract 4, 1,600 hours. You do the conversion. So 4 p.m. 4 p.m. I did that with the smiley face. And that's what I said in opening. Context is key. The whole floor is coding. Awesome if you work at Google. Terrible at Broward General Hospital. Context is key. So you've learned Peasy Gambino, as you heard from Detective Moretti, is potentially facing federal firearms charges. The gun dealer is told by the defendant, I did that. Shh. And look at the messages between Mr. Demons and Mr. Gambino. Peasy Gambino is a blood gang member. He uses all those same information, slang words, changing of the letters that you learned about from Detective Polo. October 26th, he asks and reach out to see how the defendant's doing. And the defendant says, I did that. And to make a spelling that, other times he uses DAT. Ladies and gentlemen, you saw the song where he has a song that he's released called THAT in his phone. So again, Instagram and how these all fit together. 6:58 a.m. Jamie King, RN, the defendant's mother. Are you here? I'm in Miami. I'm by the stadium. I'm a mess. I'm so worried. I'm here. Remember those CDRs where you kept sending her to voicemail? Ladies and gentlemen, this shows that she's trying to contact her son. He is ignoring her, and so she's reaching out to her son, who responds back with, I love you, Mom. I'm good, Mom. Because he had the phone at that point. So the judge read you the law. Anthony Williams is dead, and it was premeditated. Ladies and gentlemen, I submit to you the evidence very clearly shows the defendant was caused by Jamel Demons. Same as to Christopher Thomas. Talks about premeditation. Principles. So if, ladies and gentlemen, if you believe that Cortland Henry, and Cortland Henry is charged, but that's for another jury on another day. If Cortland Henry assisted and helped and shot these two individuals to help out Mr. Demons, Mr. Demons is just as guilty. Because a principal is someone who decides to help before the murder is completed. And you have that with Mr. Henry, and making that drive and going out to the edge of the Everglades. You have that. He is a principal to first-degree murder. Mr. Demons is just as guilty, and so is Mr. Henry. So, in my few remaining moments, I want to briefly touch on the unlucky 13, because I'll give Mr. Adelstein, Mr. Henry. He's charged, right? So from all those unlucky 13 people that are listed as suspects, they have one thing in common, and only one thing in common. They made a single online threat. In poor taste? Yes. Any other evidence that ties them to this case? None. No location data. No communication from anyone in that Jeep to say where they were. No DNA of any of those people on that Jeep. No ballistics evidence at their feet where they were sitting in that Jeep. No private confession. Because remember, all of these online threats, they're out there for the public because they're trying to get attention and trying to get some sort of benefit for that for themselves. Distasteful? Yes. A crime? No. There's no drop pins for an emergency pickup from any of those individuals. There's no phone for any of them at any of the scenes in this case. So, motive. We talked long and hard how we don't have to prove motive. Motive, it's intent. Intent is an action of the mind. So I'll give you motives. Anger. Greed. Resentment. Advancement in the gang. You heard $16 million was coming into Jameson Francois, and that you saw $15,000, $10,000 payments going to Mr. Demings. Simple math. Splitting something 4 ways or 2 ways with Mr. Henry, who wasn't smart enough to even properly give a statement to keep Mr. Demings away from the car. So we have all these pieces of the puzzle that we have just talked about. And each and every one shows how this case has been brought together. Shows the physical evidence. And so, ladies and gentlemen, there's no murder weapon, right? The question that you have to answer, and that you can now answer based on all of this evidence, is that Jamel Demings was sitting in the back seat of that Jeep. And he was the one that fired the fatal shots that killed Christopher Thomas and Anthony Williams. And you know that because even if you choose to disbelieve one part of the evidence, 2 parts of the evidence, you can see what the overall picture is. The overall picture puts Mr. Demings in the back seat of that Jeep. It puts him holding a gun. You don't need a murder weapon to know that he committed these 2 crimes.
I want you to pay particular attention to Dr. McDougall and Dr. Saunders. Because those 2 doctors, one being the chief medical examiner of Broward County, the other one an associate medical examiner, I think now employed in West Palm Beach, say to you that the first shot to Williams and Thomas were fatal, deadly. Why is that important? Because according to Sergeant Williams, Thomas's injury to his hand came first. It was a defensive wound. We know that couldn't happen based upon the medical testimony. So you either have to disregard the medical examiner and accept what Williams' testimony is, or I suggest, now that you have 4 experts, contradicting Williams' testimony, and that is Bello, Special Agent, FBI Agent Collins, and 2 medical examiners conflict with Williams' testimony, that you should take Williams' testimony and ignore it, toss it out. You can't have it both ways. It just doesn't work. And then we get to to really their star witness, two star witnesses. Sergeant Williams, and I think I've talked a bit about him. And I think the most amazing part of his testimony is that he does not get involved in this case until 3 years after the incident. Again, at the request of the state. Again, because they realize they have problems. And I applaud them to recognize they have problems. And miraculously, as I told you earlier, even though the Jeep was searched for hours and hours, processed for hours and hours, he finds additional evidence. 2 projectiles that everyone else missed, and a blood stain that is important. And that when he did his analysis, 2 important things occurred. He didn't go in there blindly to do any analysis. He told you that the prosecutors in this case told them that the defendant in this case was this young man. And we need you to do a trajectory analysis to put him on the scene. Now, I suggest to you, you could have a Jolly Green Giant and a midget. And if you give them the dimensions, the height and his arm length, with this mathematical formula, you could say the Jolly Green Giant or the midget was a shooter in this case. They would either be closer to the car or further from the car, depending upon their size. If you want to do an analysis, if you want to do an investigation, if you want to figure out who the shooter is, why do you point to this kid and tell him, this is what we want? Why do you do that? This is the great investigation. This is what they want you to do in order to render a verdict that could take him.
Proceed. Over. Proceed.
And tell him that he's going to live life in the state penitentiary without parole or being on death row. This is the investigation they want you to rely upon and say it's proof beyond and to the exclusion of every reasonable doubt? I guess so, according to them. And they call Danny Benitez. Who the heck is he? He was on the stand for all of about 2 minutes. Danny Benitez gave Detective Moretti the surveillance tape from the Montessori school. You watched it. It showed, I suggest, nothing probative to implicate this young man in it. But we learned, not from him, but from Moretti, that he doesn't go to the drugstore on Miramar Parkway to check their surveillance tape. He doesn't go to Applebee's to check their surveillance tape. He doesn't go to Polo Tropical or the gas station or the bank on Miramar Parkway to check their surveillance tapes. When the car's on 184th Avenue, he doesn't go to the fire station to check their tapes, surveillance tapes. Doesn't go back to the 2 elementary schools, Sunset Lakes and West Broward Elementary, to check their surveillance tape, because he knows it all. He knows it. How do you know it if you don't check? How do you know something unless you investigate? We don't have to do a thing, folks. We don't have to do anything except show up. And begrudgingly, we did. Where the Montessori school was, on Pines, there was a tractor supply company and another school. Why don't you get that? And come in here and say, you know what, folks? We checked all of this. Instead, what they do is take a helicopter ride 4 or 5 years later. And we have to sit here and watch as they fly the route. And we have to watch how they drive the route. Not checking what the traffic conditions were that day, back 4 or 5 years ago. Not checking what the weather was 5 years ago in October 26th. What's the purpose of that? Just to add more of what I suggest is a smoke screen. You look at all this and say, heck, man, 100 exhibits, 500 photographs out of a cell phone, all of these text messages. What does it mean? Hopefully, for the state, you'll say, hey, where there's smoke, there must be fire. And say, hey, too bad, young man, too bad. There's a lot of stuff sitting here. And hopefully you will not fall into that trap. And then we get to the lead detective. Well, before we get to the lead detective, I think I missed someone. Trevion Glass, the individual who got into the red Mitsubishi. The man who is convicted of 2 felonies. Now, why is that important? Because the judge read you an instruction on some of the factors to look at in determining whether or not to believe a witness or not. And he told you that one of the factors to look at is whether or not the witness has been convicted of a crime. Trevion Glass, the state calls, as their star witness, basically, to say Melly never got into that red Mitsubishi. And he told you one interesting thing. He said he's got a case pending right now, and he doesn't want to go back to jail. Now, who has the authority to put him in jail? We don't. There's only one person who can put him back in jail. And that's the state of Florida, whether it be through the state attorney's office or the police department.
YNW MELLY. YNW MELLY. YNW MELLY. You done got yourself in some shit, man. And I don't wanna kill nobody, motivation or nothing like that. But bro, the way that prosecution laid that out to the jury, it's too flat out. They use 4 different things as motives. You know what I'm saying? Anger, money. They have 4 different motives. This is what people got to understand, bro. The state does not need a video of you in the car, a phone call with you saying, hey, I'm in the car. They don't need that to convict you, bro. I used to think that shit too before I got convicted, bro. All they need is circumstantial evidence. With circumstantial evidence. Circumstantial evidence, I always explain this shit. Circumstantial evidence is like, let's should I make up a crime? Let's say, I guess, look, let's just do it like this. I'm gonna use this case, fuck it, since this is how he can still get convicted. Everybody keeps saying he don't got the gun, he ain't got no gun residue, powder residue, right? It ain't no smoking gun, They don't need that, bro. They got the text messages, they linked all that stuff up. They don't have to have the gun. If it looks like it's under the circumstance, if it looks like you did it, that's all they need. Now, they have to be without a reasonable doubt, which I don't even know how the fuck that works. You know what I'm saying? How the fuck can something be circumstantial? But I don't know. That's the law, that's the country we live in, you know what I mean? But yeah, they don't have to like have a video of it, bro. Like that's how the for all y'all niggas who think about being gangster and doing shit, yeah, they don't have to have, just because they didn't catch you on the tape, they just gotta have little bits and pieces of evidence and paint the shit and make the motherfucker, you feel me? Like they don't need, here's the video of YNW MELLY actually killing a dude. It was recorded off somebody's cell phone on accident because they were in the car. You don't need that. They don't need that, bro. You feel me? All they need is for it to look like it. Oh, he got in the car leaving the studio? Oh shit. Like he was with them people, like they had arguments. The mom was arguing with such and such, you see what I'm saying? Circumstantial evidence. Oh, so it sounded like they did have some kind of motive. It was a problem. It was a reason he would want him. You know what I mean? Like circumstantial evidence is a motherfucker, bro. Like you can get a gun charge from this. This how it could be circumstantial. Like they got circumstantial possession of the gun. And the gun is on the floor. It ain't on your hand, ain't on you, but it's on the floor by you. You know what I'm saying? Or on the seat. You driving, but the gun on the seat, and they see it, and you like, well, the gun ain't on me. Like nigga, where you in the car with the gun is within your reach. Like it's so many. You gotta learn them laws for y'all. Y'all want to jump out in the field. It's easy to get stuck up in that motherfucker, man. But like I said, his prosecutors did a great job as well. It's just like, I just feel like I'm like 50. I'm like, how can I say it? I'm like, from what I'm thinking, I'm like 51% he's going to get found guilty, and like 49% he's not. But me just knowing my knowledge of circumstantial, and he in Florida, they be cooking niggas in Florida. Florida is like the craziest fucking state anyway. Just all the shit that be going on in Florida, the crazy news stories, the crazy murders. Florida is crazy. You know what I'm saying? Shout out my Florida niggas. But yeah, man. I don't know, bro. They were just trying to say, his defense basically was saying, well, y'all can't prove that it was him. That's basically what they're saying. It said the pedometer, the little shit that add the steps up when you walk on your phone, that's not legit. The ping tower is not legit. So you see what I'm saying? The best thing I say that did go good for Melly, the best thing that, you know what I mean, from this whole recent couple days shit, is when his homeboy got up there and testified for him. You know, that was pretty big, because the jury has to think then, like, damn, well, I mean, a nigga that was with them that night got on the stand and was like, yeah, and you know, that's if he get up there and lie, that's perjury. Not saying people don't purge, right? People definitely purge, but that's a risk. That's a risk. That's a risk to hurting Melly case for him to get locked up. So most people, you know, most honest people aren't going to think he's lying because he got up there under oath. You know what I'm saying? But you know, that's probably the best thing. They got somebody that was around them that night and said that he seen him in the house. But I just feel like with the circumstantial shit though, because it's just so much little evidence, and then the DM, I did that like, yeah, like they try to say the nigga was using that shit to become a higher gang member, and I don't know, bro. I don't know. I know that circumstantial evidence is a motherfucker. I ain't gonna lie. But y'all let me know what y'all think in the comments, man. Day 14 was crazy, bro. I mean, I said day 14. You know I'm high as hell. Day 17 was crazy, bro. Last day for real, unless they do the verdict tomorrow, which is looking like they might, but I don't know. Y'all let me know what y'all think. Do y'all think he's guilty or not guilty, and why? Put it in the comments, bro, because am I the only one that feel like that? I'm like, bro, they just laid it out so flat out, bro. They just like, the prosecution, like, it sound like a fucking... I said that shit yesterday. I think I was on live or some or another video. I said that shit when I seen that motherfucker. I was like, damn. That's a pretty easy story to understand, you know what I'm saying? But anyways, y'all let me know what you think. Like, comment, don't forget to be on my phone. Yeah.
Yeah, I smoking gas, feel like I cute. Feel like I cute. Bitch, I'm smoking gas, I feel like I cute. I feel like I cute. Bitch, I'm smoking gas, I feel like I cute. Yeah, I feel like I cute. Bitch, I'm smoking gas, I feel like I cute. Yeah. I feel like I cute. I'm sipping that red solo like I cute. Yeah, I got all these bitches on.